roguelike games have been around since pretty much as far as I can remember playing video games, which is like the early 2000s. So to say they were from beyond then, I don't know if that would be true. What I can say is that roguelike games are probably going to be popular in the near future. Hello everyone, welcome back to Watermelon Rating. This week's game is Risk of Rain 2 by Hopoo Games. Risk of Rain 2 released on August 11th of 2020, and about 5 months before that it was in its beta stage. A little bit about this game: it's a third-person roguelike, very different from its predecessor, Risk of Rain. A lot has changed really in the style Hopoo decided to make their game, and I think it turned out rather nice in Risk of Rain 2. So starting off with the gameplay, there's 3 difficulties. There's Monsoon, Rainstorm, and Drizzle. That's going from hardest to easiest. And there are multipliers to make the game harder and such and such. One thing to consider is that there's a time factor, which I don't think is in a lot of roguelike games. But as time goes on in Risk of Rain 2, the enemies will essentially level up and get more health, they'll do more damage and have a higher damage output, as well as chests and shrines costing a lot more. For the stages, there are 5 stages in rotation and 10 different environments. At each stage, essentially what you do is loot, do the teleporter trial, and move on. Within the teleporter trial is charging the teleporter to 99%, defeating the boss, which will add on to 100%, and that's basically it. There's quite a big selection of different bosses that will appear at your teleporter event, but I do believe that each boss has their own environment that they can appear in. There's 3 item tiers, and 4 if you want to include boss items. Gray items, green items, and red items. That's basic, rare, and exotic. The boss items will be golden and can only be dropped from the teleporter event. Your basic items will essentially help you through the game. There's the combat syringe, which will increase your attack rate, your foundation. Then you move on to the green items, the rare. They're a little more conditional and a little more advanced. The ATG missile will fire randomly and basically give you more attacking power. Whereas Death's Mark requires you to have 4 different effects on the enemy for a damage boost. Red items are the items that you want to get to make yourself OP as shit. My personal favorite is the Ceremonial Dagger. Basically, there's a set of 4-ish, 5-ish daggers that'll drop after you kill every monster, and then they will just aimbot to the next monster. Pretty simple, and you can get a kill chain going pretty easily if you're already buffed. There's also lunar items, which can be dropped from lunar pods or bought in the item shop. These lunar items are kind of double-edged swords. For example, there's shaped glass, which will double your damage output but half your health at the same time. You want to watch out for these things because really most of them are curses. Finally, for items, there's your equipment, which is your add-on in a sense. There's a good amount of different equipments that can be used, and each do different things. There's the drone call, for example, that will summon 4 drones to your assistance. Then there's the Prion accumulator, which is like a holy grail of sorts. It will fire a big burst of energy, dealing a massive amount of damage. Okay, let's move on to the survivors. There are 11 survivors to pick from, all unlocked via challenges. So it kind of promotes that progression and, achievement hunting in the game. Every survivor has a passive, primary, a secondary, a utility, and a special. What a passive would look like is, for example, Agile on the Huntress. The Huntress can fire while sprinting. A passive on the Bandit would be all critical hits from behind. These 2 personally are my favorite survivors, which is surprising because they're on opposite sides of playability. The Huntress is rather easy to play, and I would say your basic survivor after you unlock her. Kind of aimbot, and a lot of things are done for you. Whereas the Bandit is a high skill survivor requiring a lot of skill chain and a lot of planning. Aside from that, there's special survivors like Captain and Multi, which will give you an option to pick either 2 primaries or 2 utilities. Finally, the level system in this game is basic at its core. As you level up in the game, you'll get more health and a higher damage output, but only by a small fraction, I believe. You can use unspent gold at the end of a trial to level up. It'll all be transferred into EXP at the end of the teleporter event, and you get EXP from killing monsters. I find that this leveling system is more or less ignored. Of course, you'll level up anyway and get more health, but I feel like it's kind of fatigued, really. I don't pay a lot of attention to what level I am at any time in the game. There are items that can give you more health and allow you to heal faster, so it's pretty much just a small little add-on to the game. If I were to rate this game using a scale of watermelons from 1 to 5, Risk of Rain would get a 4 watermelons out of 5. The game is continually being updated, but not at an extremely fast pace. Hopoo Games is a relatively small amount of people, and you have to keep in mind that this is still an indie game at its core. However, I do feel like they're giving their all and they're actually committing to this as a project. Almost 6 months after release, they put out a roadmap that included, I think, 7 major updates, one of them being their anniversary update. So even if this game doesn't seem appealing right now, it'll probably seem a lot better in the future. Well, that would conclude this watermelon rating. Thank you guys for tuning in. As mentioned on my Twitter, twitter.com/twbro, you guys can expect content on Monday and Wednesday. I guess reimbursement of missing this last Wednesday. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.
Don't go outside, locked up in my room. Life switched up, don't know where to go. After all this time, you're still in my phone. Traded so much time and got so far, like things